Hey, I'm Christian Lee. I'm part of Aztec Music Group, and we're here with. Would you like to introduce yourself?
I'm Blockhead, Tony Simon.
Nice to meet you. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you doing? Good.
Doing good too. And here, let me ask you a question to start off this interview. So, was there ever like a song or an album when you were a kid or when you were younger that like made you want to like make music?
That's interesting. I think I just kind of. I don't know if there's one song or one album, but there was definitely like just a period in my life where I was around older guys who were rapping, and I was like, I want to do that. So I started rapping before I started making beats. And that was like just seeing other people do it, and that some people did that weren't just like famous people in my mind. That pretty much kind of set that off. And then when I realized I was bad at rapping, then I was like, I should try to make beats. That was it pretty much.
And so, I think you only rapped for a couple of years, and then you switched to beatmaking, or?
I rapped for probably almost 8 to 10 years, but I never, like, I really, like, focused on it for maybe, like, 3 or 4 years. But I kept going. I was making beats and rapping at the same time. But then when I met Aesop Rock and saw someone who actually was a good rapper, I was like, oh, I'm out. I gotta push my cards in.
Yeah, so you pivoted to...
Yeah. I just realized it wasn't gonna, like, I didn't have it, I didn't have a thing that was gonna make me work as a rapper.
Worked out in the end, because...
Yeah, no, luckily I got the other part worked out.
And so do you remember, like, if you bought anything with, like, the first beat you ever sold? Do you remember, like, when you bought it?
There was never a first beat I sold, because the first stuff I did was with Aesop, and it was just kind of slow money that came in. We used to sell CDs online, and I'd get a cut of that. So it was like, it'd be like
back when the internet was like still like.
Oh yeah, trading CDs. It was before streaming for Napster. It was like 98, so it was it's a long time ago. And so yeah, it'd be like $4 at a time. It'd be very small. So I didn't cash out too much.
And so actually, like something a little bit about your past too, because I know like your 2012 album, like Interludes After Midnight, is inspired by like Public Acid Television, which is kind of big in New York, I think, right?
It's a big deal. It was a much bigger deal when I was younger. Now it's kind of
And so like Public Access like TV, like what did like it play? Like did it play a big role in your life or what?
Oh well, yeah. I mean, I had my friends and I had a show on Public Access for years that was kind of, as far as Public Access shows go, it was popular. And it was like kind of like a little skit comedy show. It was all like just a bunch of 20-year-olds being assholes. I guess, I don't know. So I did that, but I've been watching it since I was a kid, and it was just its own thing in New York. It had this very it was a very New York centric thing that only real New Yorkers did. So it was a very that was a very like formative time in my life when I was doing all that stuff.
And I listened to the album too, and I noticed at the end you named the song after Robin Bird.
Yes.
Well, I mean, she's famous for other stuff, but she was also famous for her Public Access TV show.
Yeah, she had a show called The Robin Bird Show where she would have strippers on. That was probably the first porn I ever saw when I was like in 5th grade. And it wasn't porn, but it was like strippers and stuff. And she had a really funny show. I mean, it's still on. They still air the one from the 80s to this day.
It's a classic,
it's crazy. I was going to name the album The Robin Bird Era, but I emailed her, and she denied me. She said I couldn't. So I called the song that instead. But that was it. And Interludes After Midnight was also actually another show on Least Access.
Was it kind of like similar?
It was softcore porn.
Okay.
It was softcore. It was all based on stuff around that time.
I think you actually have like a Robin Bird shirt too, right?
I do, yeah. It's like a Knicks insignia, but it says Robin Bird on it. Yeah.
And so obviously you're having success in the music business, but let's go back to, because you were talking about like the TV show you were on. I think it's called Baby Show.
Baby Show, yes.
And here I actually have something to show you too.
I'm scared of what you might pull up. Luckily, Baby Show didn't really make it to the internet as much as it could have.
It could have, but I did find something.
Uh-oh.
And because I've heard, like, in past interviews too, you've taken, like, acting classes. Well, you took, like, one acting class.
For, like, a month, and I definitely bailed out of that one pretty quickly.
Yeah. But I feel like, you're pretty, I can tell that you're pretty funny, too. And so it makes sense that, you're on the Baby Show. It was kind of like, you guys kind of do like sketch comedy and everything.
Well, it was all improv sketch comedy, and it was like very childish. I mean, it was also a different time too, so it's kind of like I'm glad it's not all.
So I actually found a sketch you were in.
Oh wow, which one is this?
Let's fancy.
Oh wow. Oh wow, dude, I haven't seen that.
You know you're whack when you
Dude, I have never seen that on. Is that on YouTube?
Yeah.
Well, that's crazy, man.
Yeah. Do you remember doing this?
I vaguely, yeah. But I mean, literally did not know that was online. That's crazy. That's
well,
crazy.
maybe I'll give you the link later.
Yeah, you should link me that. Don't link anyone else that. Link me that.
Yeah, I saw that. I'm like, oh, that like really shows like your personality.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, it was a different time. I think I was like 20, 19 years old when that. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So I stuck around it.
Hey, so we're back. We had to leave the venue because it just opened up, but we're still doing the interview.
Yeah, we're here.
This is part 2.
We're not going anywhere.
And so let's continue on. I have the next question for you.
All right.
So here, I'm going to name some names, and you just tell me who they are to you, okay?
Okay.
So Niles Roth, Mike Delaney, and Jeremy Gibson. Who are they?
Those are some of my oldest friends. They were on the Baby Show with me.
Mm-hmm.
Niles Roth is probably my closest friend. Mike Delaney is a old friend who I'm not super close with anymore. And Jeremy Gibson is one of my closest friends who I was in the Party Fun Action Committee with. And he now goes by the name of Sir Jarlsberg.
We'll get to that too. But those three and you guys actually had your own crew called the Overground.
Oh, and we were the Overground. That I totally forgot about that. Yeah, that was my rap group. We were like the terrible white souls of mischief.
Mm-hmm. The white souls of mischief.
That's what we call it. That's the kind of sound we were going for. And that's I was rapping with them in like the early mid '90s until the late mid '90s.
And so, how did the Overground crew like impact like your music today? Did it impact it anyway?
Yeah, totally. I mean, like that was the formative years of rapping and just making music. It was my first experience making songs. Like we had a 4-track. I mean, it was a much different time, obviously. And like and it was my first time making beats for anyone. I made beats for them. I mean, Mike Delaney, who's called Dabell, was the producer of the group. Mm-hmm. But later on, I started kind of like doing some beats for us too. But that was, I mean, hugely influential in my life just because it was the first time I'd been creative musically.
Yeah. And so you're a group with your friend Jeremy. I think he goes by Jers too, right?
Jer, yeah.
He goes by now Sir
Jarlsberg. Yes, he is Sir Jarlsberg.
But my next question for you is like, looking back now, how does it feel to be part of like the greatest like medieval posse cut of like all music?
Oh man, that's just the best. It's so good because it is like there's people on that song like Lateef from Laterix.
It was like the best posse cut.
It was Aesop, Lateef, Kimya Dawson, me, and then a bunch of our other friends who were just having me on it. But yeah, and John, his dad, John Gibson, who's a known. He plays with like Philip Glass, and he's a instrumental musician. Yeah, it's crazy. Like there's no combination of people ever like that on a song.
Yeah.
But it was exciting for me because I got to make the beat and I got to be on it. But also, like I was a huge Laterix fan growing up, and to get Lateef on a song is awesome. And I never thought it'd be in this context, in the context of a posse cut about medieval rap.
Yeah, and you rapped as a gnome.
I'm a gnome. Yes, I do that.
And so you didn't ever pull like a Mad Lib too. You didn't go like rap.
No, definitely not. The gnome. I've been on. There's a couple Sir Jarlsberg songs with the gnomes on it. Yeah. There's like maybe 3 or 4 of them. But that's just for him. That's just special for him.
Special treatment. Okay. And so I've heard too. You said you and Niles are like really close.
Yes.
And I heard you guys have this nickname called like the Beak Bros. So how do you know that nickname?
Oh,
how did that nickname come about?
Damn, you did some research. You're like a Nardwar. It's not really a nickname. It was an inside joke for a while. But it was after I was with this girl for a long time, then I broke up, and Niles also broke up with his girlfriend, and we had a joke about Fanucci from Godfather. It was like, I just want to get my beak wet, and we made the joke about that. But it was never really came into action. It was more of just a joke.
Yeah.
We thought the Beak Bros was really funny.
I mean, it is funny.
Yeah. But it was like getting your beak wet. That and the other nickname was Johnny Be Wet, like Johnny B.
Oh, that's a good one too.
Johnny Be Good, but Johnny Be Wet.
Yeah. And so you're playing in San Diego right now.
Yeah.
Before you're playing in LA. Mm-hmm. Did you happen to visit Pauline back in LA?
I did. Yes, Pauline hung out. We hung out. She came to my show. She was in New York the week before, so I saw her there too.
Nice.
She's she's doing great. She's, you know.
And so you guys used to have a podcast together. And
yeah.
Are you guys ever gonna do like a reunion episode?
I mean, she lives in LA. I live in New York. It's kind of hard.
I thought it was perfect because you're in LA. Like you guys.
Yeah. Well, we didn't. I didn't have the equipment. I didn't have the time. I mean, it's kind of it's all was based on time. Like if she ever moved back to New York, we'd do it for sure. But yeah, you know, it was fun. We did like 25 episodes, and then she moved, and that was it.
I've listened to a few episodes. They're great.
They're
it's
fun.
funny.
Yeah. Just it's like a locker room with a man and a woman together, pretty much.
And so we were talking about basketball earlier too before the interview.
Yeah.
And well, I mean, you're a big basketball fan, and I think you used to play like you play like rec basketball too, right?
I play all the time. When I'm home, I play like 3 times a week if my body holds up.
Yeah.
I'm not young, so it hurts every time I play.
Is it true that you played basketball with Adam Sandler before too, though?
I played basketball.
And I think like Ethan Hawke too.
I played with a lot of famous people, just randomly. I played with the Beastie Boys. I played with Adam Sandler, Ethan Hawke. I played with Michael Rappaport. I mean, these are all like one-offs. And
Michael Rappaport, yeah.
Ben Stiller came once.
Wow.
But it's all. There's a game I play in New York that was a weekly game that the Beastie Boys used to run. And I got into it kind of late. Someone bought me into that game.
Oh, nice.
And then they kind of stopped coming, and I overtook the game. As like
you became the Beastie Boy.
I pretty much. Well, no, I just became the organizer of it. And then one day, Adam Sandler just shows up, and we're like, huh? And he just kind of plays, and it turns out that Ad Rock told him to show up because he still, he still technically runs the game.
That's awesome.
And then when he won the next week, he bought Ben Stiller. And Adam Sandler is good at basketball, man.
I heard you actually blocked him though.
I did block him.
Is that
it was
like
the first play of the game. It was the first. Well, he's like a 50-year-old man. It's not like a big deal. But
I mean, not a lot of people can say, "Hey, I blocked Adam Sandler."
Well, he hit a shot in my face too. Adam Sandler has a really good, like I would say, he has a great old man game, and he's a good teammate, and probably the most fun celebrity I've ever played with as far as how they play. And he's a nice guy. He's very friendly.
You ever try to make jokes like when you're playing against him?
Nah, that stuff is. I try to just be like, "Hey, man." Although my friend and I were on the side of the court when he scored. My friend yelled, like, who was a little more outgoing than me, he was like, "Sandy Man!" And he like giggled and was like, "Yeah, man, Sandy Man." He just kind of ran down the court. So that was kind of funny. So, and he took it in stride. He didn't get, it's weird. He's so famous.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like it's weird to be around people like that. It's just like, they're of another world. They're in another world,
I think for like I don't know if it's like your official team name or like just one of your teams, but I think you and your friends, like when you were playing like that rec ball, I think you guys were like nicknamed like the Jail Boys or something, right?
Oh no. That's so our that was just a joke.
Okay.
You've been digging on the Facebook pages. That's just a joke. It was just me and a couple of guys, and it's like a weekly pickup run with like a rotating cast of people. It's not like there's no like refs or anything. It's like a pickup game, but in the same gym every week.
So you guys are basically your own refs. You have to
we have to do that ourselves, and that always doesn't work out. Sometimes it's harder than others.
It's true. Okay, so my next question too is, what would you say is like your spirit animal?
Oh, a sloth.
A sloth?
100%, yeah. Sloth. Although lately I've been kind of getting to pugs, and I kind of feel pugs because they're the most chill dog I've ever met, where they're just like they put their head underneath. But I'm lazy like a sloth, but I'm not slow, and I'm always on time. But I felt a kinship to slugs since I was in like 7th grade. I mean, not slugs, sloths.
Sloths, yeah.
I wrote a paper about them in 7th grade.
Wow.
And I just ever since then have been like kind of obsessed with them in the sense that like they're very interesting animals. Yeah. I've held one.
Oh. Yeah. Oh yeah, because I think he was in Australia.
Yeah. Right? Well, no, I was in Florida last time when I held that. Okay. But yeah, I got to hang out. I got to hang out with sloths. Yeah, they're everywhere.
Well, speaking of sloths, though, I actually have a gift for you. Sloth socks.
Oh shit. Dude, this is awesome. Yeah. Thank you, man.
You're welcome.
And I can always use more socks.
I mean, socks are like they're essential.
These are great.
They're underrated, yeah.
These are great. Thank you.
No problem. And so we have like 2 questions left too.
All right.
And so you're on tour right now. Do you have like any tips, like what are some do's and don'ts when you're on tour?
Yeah, sure. Don't drink all the time.
That's a good one.
Because you will regret it if you have. I mean, I imagine if I was in my early 20s, it'd be different, but I'm not that age anymore. And like, if I drink, the next day is a wash, and there's just no way around it. I don't party on tour. I don't go out on tour. I do my shows, go back, sleep, get up. Yeah. Have like a dinner with friends if I'm in there. like it's very old man style. What else? I would say be nice to people. Don't be an asshole to people who work at venues. Don't be an asshole to your friends. Don't be an asshole to anyone. People.
Yeah.
Just in general, be nice to people. Be pleasant. Don't be a prima donna.
I agree. I think that's a really good one.
Yeah.
And so my last question for you too is, do you have any advice for like any aspiring or up and coming DJs and producers? You know.
Good luck. It's just one of those things. It's like I think I'm past the point where I could really give advice because like I came up in a time that wasn't like this. And
yeah, I know in a lot of interviews you said you were
Yeah.
like very fortunate.
I was lucky, but I've also like I didn't come up in the SoundCloud era. I didn't come up I came up in the MySpace era.
Okay.
Like that's my. So it's and when people bought records and people before the internet was everything.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a lot back then, but it wasn't everything. So
it wasn't what it is now.
I'd say just don't. The only advice I really ever give people is to don't ever actively sound like other people. Like people who, and people do that.
Yeah.
Like kind of stick to your guns. Like have a little backbone in this, and what you're doing might not be popular now, but you never know. 5 years from now it might be, and then things come in cycles. What I do right now is not as popular as it was 10 years ago, but then it comes back and people, it's. I just don't like when people like switch it up for the sake of trying to chase a style,
That's
about
good
it.
advice.
Yeah, I guess so.
Well, thanks for doing the interview.
My pleasure.
But before we wrap it up, where can we find you on social media?
Oh, you could find me. Well, I'm Blockhead NYC on Instagram and Twitter, and I'm the real Blockhead on Facebook, and that's about it for mine. Yeah.
And where can we find your albums? Where can we find your latest album, Funeral?
Oh, everywhere online. Online.
Online.
Google it. Google it.
Spotify.
If I come to your town, Spotify for sure. Yeah. Any
Tidal? I don't know.
I don't think it's on Tidal. That'd be nice. That'd be a good check. but yeah. If I come to your town, you can buy a record directly from me. Hopefully.
Yeah.
That helps. Yeah. That's about it.
That's a wrap.
All right.